and 4 divisional championships. They are co-owned by the Steelers. A great view of the 3 rivers of Pittsburgh. The city was built at the confluence of the Monongahela River, which is closest to us, and the Allegheny River, which is the most distant. A beautiful fountain rises up throughout the summer. You can visit Point State Park from stop 15 today if you are part of the hop-on, hop-off tours. Pittsburgh is the nation's second largest inland port, the Port of Waters. You can sail entirely around the world from here. Well, you just take the Oast, and we're coming up on the Duquesne Incline. It opened in 1877. If you are on the hop-off, hop-off tour, if you'd like to hop up here, just say, stop that bus. No takers, Mike. The view from the top of the Duquesne Incline was voted one of the top 10 best city views of a skyline in the world by the USA Today. You also find excellent restaurants if you're looking for a meal with a view. You know, when that Duquesne Fred Rogers from the children's show, Mr. Rogers. Starting from left to right, the building with the stair-step pyramid on top is the BNY Mellon building, and the building with the over to our right is the Rivers Casino. It's the first and only casino here in Pittsburgh. If you are the gambling sort, then you might be impressed with the 2,900 slots, 100 plus table games, a 30-table poker room, 5 restaurants, and live entertainment. They also have something that's virtually unheard of here in Pittsburgh: free parking. They chose their own address when constructing the casino. Can anyone guess what number they happen to pick? Here's a hint for you. It's a very lucky number, particularly if you are a fan of the slots. Well, that address is 777 Casino Drive. And you can see that a 220-room hotel is currently under construction between the casino and the Science Center. And we are now approaching stop number 6, if you're keeping track of our stops today. River Stadium, which was a Pittsburgh staple from its groundbreaking in 1968 and 1991, and was listed in the top 5 National Science Museums for more than a decade. Here you can experience hands-on exhibits, a 4-story IMAX dome theater, a 4-dome digital planetarium, and step aboard a Cold War submarine, the USS Requin. Their newest exhibit is Robo World, an expansive examination of robotics. You can even put yourself to the test against a robot to see who can shoot more free throws. And that cone on top? Well, it's called the emotion cone. And it lights up in the evening to let us know what kind of weather to expect the coming day. Red lights tell us warmer weather, blue light for cooler, green for no anticipated change, and yellow warning of rain or snow. If you're keeping track, we're approaching stop number 7. On our left is Heinz Field, the home of 6-time Super Bowl champions, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were established in 1933, and they're one of the oldest franchises in the NFL. The stadium was built in the 1990s by Hawk Sports Corporation. They were originally asking about $91 million for the naming rights, and the Heinz Corporation managed to talk them down and strike a deal at a bizarrely a 10-foot, 10-inch bronze sculpture, which is a replica of Mr. Fred McFeely Rogers. It's called a tribute to children to emphasize Rogers' impact on the city's youth and depicts Mr. Rogers tying his shoes as he did at the beginning. Weight of exactly 143 pounds. Why is that, you ask? Well, Rogers' regular weight of 143 had special meaning to him. It takes 1 letter to say I and 4 letters to say love, 3 letters to say you, Rogers once said. 143. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. To our left is Stage AE. It's American Eagle Outfitters Indoor-Outdoor 6. Jerome Bettis is a former Steelers player who wore the number 36, and this is where you could get a big, delicious 36-ounce steak, or one of my personal recommendations, if your heart can handle it, the deep-fried Italian hoagie. And this came with a side of fries and a defibrillator. Southern Tier Brewery is on our left. It's a great place to come in the summertime. Sit outside in their beer garden, enjoy an ice cold brew. The fifth home of our Major League Baseball team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. The view of the city from inside is breathtaking, but there is also a great view of the field. The stadium was designed so that no seat is more than 88 feet away from the field. He just didn't want kids buying tobacco to get their hands on his card. He wrote that he did not care to have his picture in a package of cigarettes, and he threatened to seek legal action against the American Tobacco Company if they went ahead and distributed his baseball card after between 50 and 200 of his cards were made and distributed. The exact number is unknown. Well, that makes Mr. Wagner's card extremely rare. It is even known as the Mona Lisa of baseball cards. And for their earrings, a Buccaneer. Well, we're now getting ready to pass the low underpass again. A reminder to remain seated, please, and the very unique ones to take in here. The mattress factory hasn't been an actual mattress factory for a while now. It's built on a hillside in the central north side neighborhood. It was used as a warehouse and showroom for Stearns & Foster mattresses, and which are named after generals and battles of the Mexican-American War, including Buena Vista Street, Monterey, Palo Alto Street, Resaca Place, Sherman Avenue, and Taylor Avenue. The streets are lined with restored row houses, many of which are Victorian. These beautiful houses hold tours throughout the year of their interiors and of their gardens. And saved it. Here you can see more than 500 birds of over 150 species. They have collections of sloths, penguins, butterflies, and several live programs. As opposed to many zoos where you will parrot the animals through bars or glass, the aviary features many exhibits where you can walk into a full room environment and watch the birds flutter around you. On the right is the large enclosure in front of the aviary where you can see the Andean condors. The rocky ledges you see are almost 20 feet high, and inside are Lurch, Leone, and Precious. These spectacular animals will impress you with their wingspan and massive body size up close. Yule Planetarium and an early Pittsburgh post office. The Children's Museum of Pittsburgh houses several ongoing exhibits as well as rotating exhibits. And also located within the museum are iconic items from the show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. These include the original puppets, one of Fred's sweaters, and his sneakers. Ahead and on the left, you can see a PNC building. Well, PNC employs about 10,000 Pittsburghers and funded the creation of two of the skyscrapers in our city. Just get your own bridge named after you. That's right, this here is the Andy Warhol Bridge. And as we make our way across the Allegheny River over this big yellow bridge, take a look to the left and right as we cross over, and you will see it's one of three identical bridges. These are the 6th, 7th, and 9th Street bridges, known collectively as the Sister Bridge. Known as DDT. In Silent Spring, cars would trace DDT through the ecosystem. Farmers would spray their crops with the pesticide. Our original building It is the dark gray building with the small square windows. And it was the first skyscraper with an all aluminum facade. And it had water vehicles. There's even a floating tiki bar out there from time to time. And looking across the river again to your left, you will see a bike trail running alongside the beautiful apartments over there. Well, that trail is one of many funded by the Rails to Trails Conservancy, which is working nationwide to convert abandoned railway lines into walking and biking trails. That trail over there runs from the confluence of the three rivers at the point where the fountain is here in Pittsburgh, all the way to Washington, D.C. And the Hines family would go on to do a great number of good deeds over the generations. And ahead of us and soon on our left will be the Hines History Center, named after one of Henry's descendants, Senator John Hines. And if you're keeping city's history, well, the Hines History Center is the place for you. You can discover 250 years of Pittsburgh history at the center. It's Pennsylvania's largest history museum and an affiliate of the Smithsonian Institution. It's 7 stories tall, and they feature many permanent and changing exhibits, including the Western Pennsylvania Sports Museum, the Library and Archives. It opened in 1996, but was already rich in history long before opening its doors. The building was originally the Chautauqua Ice Company building for over 100 years. We're now getting ready to head into the Strip District. It was named for the strip mining that once went on here. It became part of the Burg in 1837, and with its access to transportation, became a center for industrial development. And many titans of industry got their start right here in the Strip District. Andrew Carnegie with iron and steel production, George Westinghouse with air brake production, and Alcoa with aluminum production. New York sculptor Leo Mantilli's creation. And on our left is the terminal building, which is in its leasing phase. It's opening up new businesses here every week. Right now, I know there's a wine and spirit store, soon to be opening as Cosman Books. There is a great plant store, a store that sells soap, a wine and spirits store. It's well worth checking out. And at one time, this building was a produce terminal, and it could fit 660 rail cars next to it. They would open up the cars and sell the produce right out of them and market on either side of the building. Coming up on the right, you will see a brown sign with gold letters. That is the home of the original Primanti brothers. Set in the heart of an industry-heavy area, the proprietor came up with the idea to put the sides of French fries and coleslaw right on the sandwich, with the meat and cheeses for busy workers, without enough time or hands. It has quickly become the signature sandwich of Pittsburgh, earning a spot on diners, drive-ins, and dives on the Travel Channel. And that beautiful church offers a chance to worship before and after work. To our left, the large brick building with that smokestack on top is known as the Cork Factory. The complex was built in 1901 and originally was the site of the Armstrong Cork Factory, which specialized in floors, ceilings, and cabinets. It was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2005. A waitress who uses recipes from her mom and grandma. It was also featured on Guy Fieri's Food Network show, Diners, Dive-Ins, and Drives. They make an amazing homemade sausage patty. We are now about to turn onto the retail side of the Strip District. Our first stop here in the Strip District, that's stop number 11 at Grandpa Joe's Candy. Keys. If you're looking to grow up some ribeyes or the best New York strip you've ever had, you'll find it right here. They also feature some exotic meats for the more adventurous, like alligator, ostrich, and kangaroo. Personally, I'm not a fan of kangaroo. It makes me a little jumpy. Grill. It opened in the summer of 2012, and in my book, it has the best Bloody Mary in town. Coming up on our right, you will see DeLuca's Diner. It's the building with the rooster on top. They claim to have the best breakfast in town, and they were also featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. They were an extremely popular place for breakfast and lunch. On the left is Pennsylvania Macaroni Factory. It's been in operation since 1902 and is one of Pittsburgh's oldest retail establishments. And on our right, you will see another Sprout Fun mural. The guy holding... I read an article in the paper the other day that said that over 2 dozen fish were battered there. Hello! And we're now approaching stop number 12 if you're keeping track. And that happens to be Woolies Fish Market, where you can find every type of seafood in every state, fresh, frozen, fried up, into a sandwich, or still swimming. Whatever suits you. Keep going, Mike. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is truly possible to find just about anything to eat here in the Strip District. Except one thing. McDonald's. Why, if you look here over to the left, you'll see a parking lot. There used to be a Mickey D's right there, but it closed. I guess there were just too many other delicious offerings in the Strip to keep a fast food restaurant in business down here. But speaking of McDonald's, the Big Mac was born right here in Pittsburgh. We have Jim Delegati to thank for that one. He was a native Pittsburgher and added this signature McDonald's sandwich to the menu in Uniontown, Pennsylvania in 1967. Yins. It's a contraction of the words you and ones, just like y'all in the South is a contraction of the words you and all. Here we call a rubber band a gum band. And at the grocery store, we don't use shopping carts, we use buggies. And chipped ham is a very thinly sliced deli ham, and bologna is called jumbo. And when we decide it's time to neaten up our homes, we don't clean up, we red up. And when we do, we run the sweeper, which is what we call using a vacuum cleaner. And the accent is very specific as well. I'll do my best Pittsburghese accent for you. Here it goes. Hey, yins guys, want to head down to the south side, pick up an Iron City beer, and watch the Steelers game in that? The New York Times calls Pittsburghese the Galapagos Islands of North American dialect. It today began to take shape in the early 1980s. Pittsburgh was suffering from industrial decline, and this entire area was left vacant. John Hines, a former chairman of the H.J. Hines Company, began a revitalization process when he restored and reopened the historic Hines Hall in 1971. If you're looking for good dining, this is the street for you folks. Gateway Center in 1987 and made its premiere with the production of Cats. To our right and through the light, you can see a great view of the fountain and the unique eye seats of the Agnes R. Katz Plaza. Place to grab some wine and relax. On our right, as we continue through the Cultural District, is Theater Square, which is home to both the CLO Cabaret Theater and the O'Reilly Theater. Hi, guys! And I mentioned before Heinz Hall. This is Heinz Hall over on our left. It opened in 1927 as the Lowe's End Theater. And if you're keeping track, we're approaching stop number 14 for Heinz Hall in the Cultural District. That is the Gateway Center Complex. There are 4 buildings which comprise Gateway Center. 3 are identical. 1 was built later and it housed the Jones and Laughlin Steel Company. And at one time, the city planners wanted all the buildings in Pittsburgh, all the office buildings, to look like Gateway Center. Can you imagine how different our landscape would be if they would have gone through with that plan? Don't they, folks? You can see PNC Park over. If you look ahead on the right, across the river, you'll notice a structure with a keyhole type thing in it. Remember, we passed the Mr. Rogers, looking out over our city. And we're approaching a low underpass, the modern incarnation of the trolleys of Pittsburgh's city history. And we're coming up on our next stop, which is stop number 15 for the Wyndham Grand Hotel, the Fort Pitt Museum, and Point State Park. City Council told the architect that the building he wanted to create would not fit into the skyline. Well, enraged by their meddling, the architect erected a pole at the top to show the intended height of his creation. I believe within the architectural community, this practice is referred to as throwing a hissy fit. And to our right, that very tall castle-like building is PPG Place, home to Pittsburgh Plate Glass. It was designed by Philip Johnson and completed in 1981. This impressive castle-like design is loosely based on Parliament in London. And 6 buildings make up the complex, and together they use more than 1 million panels of Pittsburgh plate glass. See, and we have a large statue commemorating the movie. There are no takers, Mike. Keep going. On the left is the garden for the Heinz Hall. Magnificent waterfall outside. This was the site of wars for many, many years in downtown Pittsburgh. It's now that gorgeous Heinz Plaza. And on our left, coming up next, is the EQT building, home of the Equitable Gas Company. Dozens of people with it for a while, but we missed our H and organized a protest to bring back the H in 1911. And you can say we Pittsburghers raised some H. 87 and is still standing in our city today. It houses original Tiffany stained glass windows. And coming up at our next stop, number 17, is the Omni William Penn Hotel. No takers, Mike. The Omni William Penn is Pittsburgh's oldest hotel. It opened in 1916 and was the first hotel to offer such luxuries. 1884 and 1888 by Henry Hobson Richardson, and is said to be his crowning achievement, as it is the second most architecturally copied building in the U.S. It's classified as Richardson Romanesque architecture. It has round masonry arches, contrasting colors, strands of windows arranged in ribbon-like patterns. And unfortunately, Richardson died before its completion in 1888. Also, the dungeons in the basement look so sinister that they were used as a shooting location for Hannibal Lecter's cell in the 1990 film Silence of the Lambs. Hello, Clarice. Only 40 students and a faculty of 6. In 1911, the college became a university, the first Catholic institution of higher learning in Pennsylvania to achieve such a distinction. And since then, Duquesne has expanded to over 10,000 graduate and undergraduate students within the self-contained 49-acre hilltop campus. Over on the left, you'll see the PPG Paints Arena, where the Pittsburgh Penguins play. The multi-purpose center is named after the paint and plate glass manufacturer, Pittsburgh Plate Glass. It was designed by G49 and O66. Bingo! Hugh J. Ward played it at carnivals and had it copyrighted here in Pittsburgh. And he also wrote a book of bingo rules in 1933. Is McGee Women's Hospital, which opened its doors in 1911. Roughly 2/3 of all the babies in Allegheny County are born here. And on Steeler game days, infants aren't wrapped in the classic blue and pink blankets, but instead the black and gold terrible towels that fans whip around at Steelers games. Hey, we gotta start the kids out early, or they might turn into Cleveland Browns fans, and there is no return policy on that. Designed by architect Charles Clowder, and was built between 1926 and 1934. Here's one more trivia question for you. What year was the University of Pittsburgh founded? Well, it was founded in 1787.
I smell hot dogs.
But that one usually goes right over my head. We're getting into the heart of the University of Pittsburgh, which is one of the oldest colleges in the country and was a private institution up until 1966. Go through this light. If you look to your right, this area was once home to Forbes Field, the world's first baseball stadium. It opened in 1909. Again, on the right, as we cross through the stop light, you'll see a red brick wall with green trimming. And this is all that remains of this historic baseball park. And it's where Bill Mazeroski's legendary home run that won the 1960s World Series for the Pittsburgh Pirates sailed over that very wall. It depicts Pan, the Greek god of the wild, and a female performer playing her lyre. And on the right, just past the fountain, is the Frick Fine Arts Building. And this beautiful addition to the Oakland area was intended to be used both as a museum and to house its fine arts program. We're now entering Shenley Park. And we'll be approaching our next stop at Phipps Conservatory. Built in 1893, the conservatory was absolutely gorgeous neo-Victorian structure spans over outdoor gardens. The last building you see here is one of the greenest you'll find of any conservatory in the world, and it's equipped with earth tubes running underground to help cool the forest inside. And we're approaching stop number 19 for Phipps Conservatory. And also the butterfly room is open, one of my favorite exhibits that they have. side is known as Flagstaff Hill, and it's a very popular spot with college students in the area. And you'll see two poles behind this line of trees. And on certain nights of the summer, you will see those poles are used to set up a movie screen over to the right behind the trees. And they show free movies in the park. And while the age of the great American drive-in may have come and gone, you can still buy cinema and mosquitoes right here on Flagstaff Hill. Lovers would clasp the lock on the bridge and then throw the key over the side into the Seine River, and the lock would remain as an enduring symbol of their love. Well, we don't have, instead, a train track that is now covered in keys. Another thing I've picked up from doing these tours is that a lot of those locks are combination, which doesn't suggest a whole lot of confidence in these relationships. After a semester, it's 24, 36, 10. Bam! No more eternal love. Yes, the life cycle. History, the Andrew Carnegie, and it holds a distinguished collection of contemporary art, including film and video works. The Museum of Natural History next door was founded a year later in 1896 and is ranked among the top 5 natural science museums in the country. This beautiful new Gothic structure was designed by Charles Plowder, who was also responsible for the Cathedral of Learning and Stephen Foster Hall. It's best known for its beautiful stained glass windows, and the chapel's 23 windows were designed by Charles Connick and created at his Boston studio. The waiting list to get married in the Hines Chapel is up to 2 years, so if you have a Tinder date tonight, make a reservation today, and things just might match up perfectly. This is a way for Pittsburgh and Allegheny County to honor the Jubilee ranks of its Americans. Up ahead on our left are dormitories here in Pittsburgh called National Venues. UPMC is closely affiliated with its academic partner, the University of Pittsburgh, and it's considered to be a leading healthcare provider as it has ranked. As we make our way down and around the bend, you get a great view of the Southside slopes, many of which have a fantastic view of the river and the neighborhoods on the other side. These buildings, some of these buildings, can only be accessed by walking up a flight of stairs. City steps. Over 400 of these come with legal street names, which will show up on your GPS. So if you're ever driving around and it says to make a right on what looks like a staircase, you might want to recalculate your route. And I will. It's going to get a bit windy and hard to hear me, so I'm going to let you soak up the view as we go across the bridge. My favorite bars here in the South Side. Right past this 23rd Street sign, you'll see the library. If you're a college student and you're here when your mom calls, she might say, "Where are you?" You can say, "I'm at the library." And then another one of my favorites here on the right is work. That's the place you want to be when your significant other calls and asks, "Where are you?" You can say, "I'm at work," and you wouldn't be lying. Tempted to say the signs and structures and smokestacks of the mill. However, the EP, sunscreen, all kinds of Pittsburgh souvenirs at our storefront. And if you're in need of a restroom, if you look over to the left, this place with the silver awning and the revolving doors, if you go straight